In previous years, the teacher would usually pick out the book for you, and over a series of about a week or two, you would read it. This year, our teacher, Mr. Buck, is allowing us to pick the novels that we wish to read and go at the pace that we want to go. And so far, I'd say it's a better system than previous years.
Why do you think that?
Because you actually get to delve yourself into books that you enjoy, into subjects that you're more interested in or were previously curious about. And there's no, I would say, guidelines to it. You can just be free and enjoy yourself in it.
What I also like about the system too is, what you said that you can pick whatever book you want to read, and that inspires you to read more than usually would, because I didn't really like reading that much because it kept forcing me to read a book I didn't like and all this. But now that I'm picking books I do like, it kind of interests me and getting me back into reading.
I'm the same way, how he said that he feels like he's forced to sometimes read a book that he maybe doesn't want to read. I'm kind of the same way, and I like that we're able to choose a book that we want to read. For example, okay, so I'm dyslexic, so it's easier for me to read a book when there's more space in between sentences. And if a teacher chooses a book, I can't always keep up with the book because maybe it's the writing's too small or there's not a lot of space in between. Or sometimes the teacher will read it in class, and it's really hard for me to keep up with the pace. And by being able to choose my book, my book independently, it makes my life a lot easier, and it makes me want to read more than
yourself. And reading, not everyone's going to want to relate to the same book. So the fact that we have more freedom in what we want to write about and what we want to read allows us to express ourselves better.
A lot more books, probably. Just in general, I've already read 4 books. I think I'm on my 5th book right now. Mm-hmm. And I can definitely say I haven't even finished a book in probably a year. I've never finished a book in my life, actually.
Okay, so those books that you have to read in English, you've never...
I've never actually really finished them. If she or he assigns us chapters to read, I'll skip pages sometimes because I just can't do it with my head. I can't focus on it. So I've actually never really finished the book. I'll just skip pages. But now I'm actually finishing it from cover to cover, and it's really nice.
I mean, these past few weeks I've been able to complete 2 or 3 books, when before it would take somewhere between, I'd say, a week and a half to a month to complete something that they would give to you and that you didn't want to read anyways. So I'd say it's
reverse psychology, it makes you want to read more by not giving us something to read.
Yeah.
Exactly.
With the books that they would assign us, I usually wouldn't even finish it. I wouldn't really read it because I didn't like what it was going with the topic. But this one I'm more of a slow reader, but actually I've read more now than I usually do read. So it really interests me. It's something that I've been wanting to read, but I never got to, just because I didn't think about reading, basically. I'd rather do watch a movie or do this, but now he's telling us more books that he's the book talks and everything. So I want to read, I think maybe other 5 books or something like that, but I need to finish this one first. So it's kind of inspiring me to finish this and then read all the other ones. So that's what really helps.
Yeah, because now I'm starting to read more than I think I've ever done. I put down my phone last week, I think it was, for 2 hours, 2.5, and I just cranked through the book without a problem. And I've never done that before, ever. So
I have always been a reader. I love reading, and I've always been, that's why I chose an honors class. But the fact that there's actually time to do it at school now, because usually, in past English classes, I've been to different schools before, so there was always different systems and different ways people would teach English, but this has by far has been the best. So,
yeah, definitely.
I actually would, because in class we usually have time to read. He'll give us about somewhere between 10 to 20 minutes. I haven't really kept track of the time because we just start reading and we go until he says stop. But I gotta say that's way better than previous classes, because before they would give you worksheets and busy work and all this mindless dreb that nobody would be interested in doing. And like her, I'm also really into reading and stuff, and And I really enjoy just being able to sit in class and just quietly get interested in a book and just kind of get deeper and deeper into it.
Like
Yeah.
he'll meet with you and he'll make sure everything's okay and he'll ask you about the book, and usually it's like a book another teacher or him himself referred to you, and it's actually it's really nice. I like it.
He likes to focus a lot on showing and not telling,
Okay.
which, like, in other classes, you always, like, summarize something. Like, you go to the book, like, what happened here, you have to write about it, all that stuff, but he's telling us to show more things, like, so we can get, like, an actual, like, image in the person who's reading it. And I always had, like, a lot of stories. I just, like, type up whenever I want to, like, whenever I have free time. And when I go back on it, I see it's, like, really just summarizing everything, so I try, like, to fix it. It helps me more when I just want to write something.
Okay. So it's helping your writing as well?
Yeah.
Definitely.
And sometimes the things that you read too, they teach you morals and virtues that you would never learn from at home. Like you know, you experience more through books. Speak.
Okay.
Every single high school girl needs to read this book.
I'd say my favorite book out of all of them right now is Winger. That's my favorite. I love it so much. I actually didn't think that was the first book I actually read. Mr. Buck, he gave it to me. He's like, I think this would be a good one for you. And I was kind of like, I don't know. And then as I kept reading it, it turned out to be a really good book, and I love it so much.
Right now I'm reading Into the Wild, but I recently finished up my favorite book, No Country for Old Men, which is a very dark book, but it delves into stuff that I've never really thought about before, like meeting forces outside of your control and fate, free will, and the destruction and creation of ethics and all this crazy stuff that I'd never really thought about. So I'd say that's my favorite.